Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly talk through this lap, back it up so you can kind of see this exit, and kind of talk you through this lap. On your run up lap, you really need a good drive off if you're going for a good qualifying time. But going down the front stretch, I'm looking for this first 500 board. That's where I'll let the car rev all the way out. Do not, you're going to want to go up into fifth, but you do not go to fifth. You will miss the corner. But I'm looking for this 500 board, and as soon as I get there, I'm applying a constant steady throttle and brake, and just letting the engine braking do the work for me until I get down to second gear. And here's the thing, second gear falls typically around the 100 board, and once you get around the 100 board, you're going to want to start to turn in, because this is a very early apex, and you'll see I'm just kind of letting the brake drop as I'm turning in, and as soon as I apex, I get immediately onto maintenance throttle and let it run wide here. Um, and keeping in mind that when I cross this, it's going to want to kick the rear end of the car out. So I'm keeping just 30%, maybe on the high end, maybe 10-20% throttle, uh, maintenance throttle, to go ahead and start getting the revs up, because as soon as you cross this, you're going to have the grip, and you'll see me aggressively spike the throttle up here. Um, you know, Pretty aggressive. You can see, kind of dip down as I get to the turtle, and I aggressively increase the throttle, because running wide here, you're going to have a lot of grip, and it's going to allow you to carry as much momentum as can into this second corner. Now, one thing you can do, and this is probably what a lot of people are going to do, is kick it up into fourth. Now, if it's a hot track like it is here, there's no sense in doing it because you won't make the corner. But if it's a cooler track, you can pop it up into fourth, I've found. But here, this is a hot track. Let's see here. Track temperature is 106 degrees. So, this is about as hot as it gets for Watkins Glen, because it's pretty up there up north. So, I just hang it in third gear, and what you're actually going to find, I brake on entry, and you're going to lose a bit of time here. But when you go through these S's, get as far inside, and make the car drive really free. Don't let it bind, don't let it get tight as you're going through the S's, and you'll carry so much speed that this little trail brake here is going to be nothing compared to the gains you can get from it. And you'll actually see, up into fourth, right about here. But as soon as I get into fourth, it's gonna let the car roll, and you're just really gonna, you see me backing out of the throttle here, just really roll this corner until you crest the hill. And as soon as you crest the hill, you're gonna be all the way out here. It's gonna throw you all the way out here. And as soon as you can see this inside curbing, as long as you don't have a lot of weight thrown onto the right side at this point, this is the point. As soon as I can see this curb, I go full throttle, if not a little bit sooner. And you're just flat out all the way into the bus stop. And this straightaway here is really crucial to keeping your pace up, because one thing you can do, if you practice these S's, this is like half of the time right here in some of the quote unquote easiest corners, because a lot of people aren't going to know to roll this corner. And so it's going to set them up for a bad run through the S's. It's going to really kill their front tires. And, it's going to spiral from there. But if you can get these S's down, it's going to make the rest of your race a lot easier as far as lap time wise. But going down into the bus stop, I'm pinned out in fifth gear, getting all she can get. And again, I'm actually braking before the 600 board. So you can kind of see the spacing here, right about here, before these the solar panel, green energy board, as I'm gonna call it here. And what you're gonna see again is a nice steady about 80% brake, pretty much the same as turn one, except you know after the apex is a little bit different. But same principle as turn one. Gonna get about 80% threshold brake, and just really letting the car slow itself down. And so here, let's see, my turn in point is going to be this orange dip in the barrier. I mean, it's the same way as LMP2 or GT3. You always turn in typically about here for the bus stop, unless you're in some really weird combo car. I think the trucks are a little bit different if I remember right. Trucks, you kind of want to arc it in a little bit different. But anyways, I digress. You're going to want to turn in about here. And what I do here, and this is, another place where I'm picking up speed. It's not necessarily as consistent, but I like to do this. I'll actually roll it in third gear until I get to the first curb, and you can see right there is when I downshift a second. And so what that allows me to do is carry just a slight bit extra bit of momentum on corner entry, because every time you pop it down to second here, it immediately cuts off all your momentum. And so I know as long as I'm downshifted to second before the corner, I'll be able to make it. And so I'm trying to ride third gear as long and as deep as possible. But I mean, there's no difference between downshifting to second here as opposed to here, as long as you're down out of the RPMs where the car can handle it. Like, I mean, you see here, I'm down 2 green lights, but if I was in second gear, that'd be up here towards the red lights. If I would have shifted, maybe about, if I would have shifted probably about here, this would be kind of pinned out for where you could go in second gear. So if you plan on going down into second, on turn in, you're going to want to back up your braking zone just a hair, maybe about maybe about here, just a little bit earlier. Which is still very far from the corner. You can't even see it. But this bus stop is where a lot of people loop it, just because they downshift to second too early, and so it really unsettles the rears. And see, another thing you could do is actually, as long as you've got the entry speed down for the bus stop, you could actually roll it in third, up until about here. Maybe, I mean, you never want to downshift on a curb because it's just going to spin you out. But if you get to about here, and about here when your car's not bouncing, pop it down to second, before you get back on throttle, that could be another viable option. Just whatever you find works best, just giving you some tools. But I'm really aggressive here on this push lap, because this is a push lap, trying to get as close to the inside as humanly possible without completely jumping the car. Because if you're just a couple inches further to the right, you're going to jump the car, or jump the curb rather. If you're any farther past these red squares, you're gonna get a jump. It's going to land very hard, unsettle the car, and spin you out. And it's the same way with this curb. If you go any further to the left, where you're kind of arcing towards this grass, you're going to overshoot the best stop equally, if not just outright spin you out. But, just try and really keep it as far inside as possible. And, when you're on the curbs or about to be on the curbs, the biggest thing is just keep a little bit of trail brake in it and it'll settle the car. And as soon as you find that car gets settled, go ahead and start creeping maintenance throttle, because as soon as I can see my front left tire has a straight line to the exit of where I'm going, I know this car is going to make it. So I'm creeping throttle here, and you can really get even more on throttle on a cooler track through here. I believe last season in Apex, I was full throttle right about here, if my memory does me well. Um, and you can take it real wide through here and cut it down, but with this car, I've found, or this test session, I found, going out wide, you waste a lot more time as opposed to keeping it in. It's real tight and just pushing it, to right about the time you get to these red boards, just creep on a little bit of trail brake all throughout the corner. Um, it's a little bit faster, just keeping it tight. And so you want to trail brake, trail, and then as soon as you can, you want to start creeping maintenance throttle, and that's going to be important later on in the corner. But the biggest thing, as soon as your car feels set, and it's starting to quote unquote come down the hill, even though this is a right-hander. So I mean, you see, it pushes wide, it's pushing wide, and then boom, you can see it started coming back down the hill to the right. Soon as it did that, I'm on maintenance throttle because I know I can make the corner at this point in time. And so as soon as you're on maintenance throttle, you're really going to want to hold the maintenance throttle until you can see the exit. Once you see the exit, you pick up on throttle and you want to be in third gear before you go over these curbs. And that's where the maintenance throttle comes in, because it's given the RPMs so that whenever I get to the exit of this corner, I can really get up into the RPMs. You see, I'm not even full throttle yet. I'm about 90% throttle, granted. But, before I'm even out of the corner, I'm able to upshift into third, which is going to allow me to roll over these curbs a lot nicer. And especially in a hot track temp, that is, you want to be in third by the time you cross that. And from there, you're just carrying momentum out. So you're going to go up into fourth, and that's going to give you the top end. I actually misshift there. And you do go up to fifth. There is some gains to going up to fifth because it's going to allow you to roll into the corner a lot nicer. You're not going to chop off all your momentum quite so quickly going up into fifth. And it just helps me with my timing. You don't necessarily have to go up into fifth if you can be consistent, rolling in there. And it's not even about speed, it's just about timing for the corner. If you can manage to do that in fourth, it'd be pretty much the same. But as soon as I hit where this curb dips back down onto the track, so right about here, as soon as that curb goes away, I'm on brake. So I mean, right here, this is the marker. I'm rolling on brake, and same with the other braking zones. I'm holding a fairly high threshold brake, maybe not so much in this corner, but I'm threshold braking about what, 70-ish% right there, and I'm just downshifting into third as quickly as possible. Again, just letting those RPMs bring me down, and I have to wait until about halfway between this 100 and 200 board to turn in so that it'll give me the proper corner arc into the corner. Because if not, you'll run wide. And the biggest thing with this corner, I don't care how fast or slow you take it, do not get on this curb. Do not touch it. I touched it here just a tiny bit. I mean, just ever so slightly. So I dipped, and that's the furthest you can go on this corner. I actually messed up in this corner. I turned in just a tad bit late, but I've got right sides on this curb. If I would have went any further by just a couple of inches, it would have spun me out. I would have hit the inside wall and died in a fiery inferno. Would have been bad times, but really to avoid this, I needed to turn in just a couple feet earlier, and I would have hit this apex, and I wouldn't have went out to the curbs. So right about here, here-ish, just a few feet earlier. Um, turn it in so you don't miss that apex. And if you do hit those curbs, if you're carrying any kind of speed, do not get on throttle. Throttle is what kills you. Get off the curb and then get back on throttle. Because you're just going to break traction. That is the best case scenario you can have for that corner if you hit the curb. I mean, this was the best case right here. But going into the last corner, I look for this line and I brake at the line. Just a quick pop down into second. You can see no major threshold braking. It's just at that 50% mark, and immediately as soon as I get down into second, I start turning in. You don't ride it all the way out. Well, you kinda do. You can see there's about half a car width there. But you decently wide, open up the corner as much as you can without slowing yourself down and missing the corner. But, just a quick pop down into second, immediately start turning back in. It is a really early apex. So I'm at apex. There's still a lot more corner left. But what this does, as long as you've got the nose coming down the hill like I do, you can, as soon as you come off that curb like I do there, as soon as I hit that apex, I'm rolling on throttle decently aggressively, and so that I can have the run down the front stretch. And that is a 10.4 at Watkins in 106 degree weather track temp.